Take my teeth out? Are you sticking yourself? If I stand surgery right now, Higley really trusted for Schmark, and he's represented by his wife only. And I want to give a chorus and talk to Jeff Heisel. A lot of things that there's a lot of people going behind it. He's been eating tonight. Tried to see him a shot from 7 to 10. He got the food. He made his arrangement. But right now he also is working on us. So he sent his representative, Sylvia.
Oh, we want Jeff.
These last 7.5 years have been a fabulous journey. So many people who are behind the scenes, I feel that the names should be mentioned. If I left out anyone, please remind me so we can give them the recognition. Just about 15 years ago, when Rabbi Shapiro became the rabbi of our congregation, prior to that, there was never any mention of a Daf Yomi. I don't remember how the discussion started. Willie Kelman was one of the first ones who said, I am donating $1,000 for the library, go out and buy our school Gemaras. We bought whatever they had written. At the same time, Mel Dugam came and bought the Yarmouth Sea, and he brought with him Torah communication tapes. He was getting the tapes from his son or son-in-law who lived in Teaneck. Hooray for Teaneck. We found out B'nai Yeshurun in Teaneck received permission to make tapes from Torah communications for the distribution to any group who will use them. The first year we received the tapes from B'nai Yeshurun free of charge. The second year we paid $120. I got involved with the tapes. We bought a tape recorder and made arrangements to receive the tapes from my son-in-law lived in Teaneck, Jerry Goldfisher, Amy Goodwin, who all lived in Teaneck, and they sent it by UPS for themselves. A couple of years ago, later, they started making CDs of the doc for the computer. Also, around that time, Sam Isaacson was retiring from his business, and he donated a few computers to the shul. I adopted one of the computers. I began to download all the Gemaras into the computer. Whenever we finished a Masechta, I would go out and buy a next CD, and with the help of Avi Gitter, we downloaded all the Gemaras, which is today in the Daf Yomi room. This year, the Daf room, which was when we finished the Daf room, it was donated by Mike and Judy Morgenstern. During the early years when we started the Daf, it consisted of, especially in the summer, myself, Dave Clark, Akiva Vogelson and Rocham Moshe Cohen, Huda Klein, Willie Kelman, Charlie Gelsenstein. And on Shabbos, Rabbi Shapiro did the Daf for us. The rest of the week we were using the tapes. Many times we only had 3 or 4 people play the Daf. Around the end of the 11th SIYUM HASHAS, and after buying of the building, and after the renovation of the building, a tremendous influx of people started to buy in the building. Then came Heshy Plot. He mentioned to me that he has someone who comes during the winter, lives in the area of BOCA synagogue. He's interested in living the Daf every day. I met with Rabbi Kurtzer, and the rest was history. Since we started the daf, I am referring from November 1st to about 2 weeks after Purim. We were averaging between 40 to 50 people every day by the daf. It is an amazing, it's amazing. What an honor it is for Congregation Torah Hall. To all the Maggid Shias in the past 7.5 years, we say thank you for making the Daf Yomi a success. You all have the sheets which list all the names of the Daf Yomi we gave. Now we are embarking on a new journey, the beginning of the 13th SIYUM HASHAS. But this time there will be 2 Daf Yomis, one before the 8 a.m. Shabbos meeting and one at 8:30 a.m. right after the 7:30 Shabbos. This new daf was organized by Harvey Greenberg. The Maggid Shia will be Cyril Wilson. May both daf yomis be a success, and all of us be at the next completion of the SIYUM HASHAS, as we say, as some of us say, and the journey
continues. Where's my hat?
Thank you.
Thank you.
On the eve of Tisha B'Av, after my we read Eicha. Eicha Yoshua Bada. Alas, she sits in solitude. It has become a day of tears and tragedy. In Parshas Veschanan, chapter 4, pasuk 25, the pasuk says, "Ki solid bonum uvnei bonum v'nashantem no'oretz." When you will have children and grandchildren and been living long in the land, the word v'shinamtem, and you will be long, Rashi uses it as a remez, a hint. The gematria of shonantam is 852 years. The words kisolid bonum refers to the first base mikdash, and v'nei bonum refers to the second base of mikdash. It also implies a lengthy stay. But let's get back to the word v'shonamtem. The gematria is 852. Rashi said Hashem had Rahmanis on the nation, and we lost both Beis HaMikdash in 850 years. 2 years earlier, in order that the words Ovay Tovedu, you shall surely be destroyed, and these words should not be fulfilled. So we read Eicha the night of Erev Tisha B'Av. Basically, on the onset of Tisha B'Av started with the sin of the Meraglim. But what I'd like to state, maybe it is my own thought, that the loss of the Beis HaMikdash started with Adam Harishon. When Adam and Chava sinned and hid in the Gan Eden, Hashem called out to them and used the word, Ayeka, where are you? The spelling of Ayeka and Eicha are spelled the same way. I think, according to the Arizal, David HaMelech is the Gilgal of Adam Harishon. It was Adam who gave David HaMelech 70 years. It was David HaMelech who gave the idea of building the Beis HaMikdash. So the question of today's generation, where are we? We know from just about every rock can come out a toe. Chet Egel came about a Beis HaMikdash to bring sacrifice as the kapara for the sin of the Chet Egel. After so many centuries, we are back in Israel. I believe the ingathering has begun, even though the Beis HaMikdash has not been built. But the seeds that we are now planting are beginning to grow. This week is the SIYUM HASHAS. Never in the history of the Jewish nation, maybe before the first Beis HaMikdash in Israel, there were many Jews who studied Torah. But in our generation, it is coming from all over the world. So many Jews are coming together to give honor to the Torah. May we all that are here merit to see the coming of Mashiach, and all of us be at the next SIYUM HASHAS, but only Yerushalayim b'mheira v'yameinu. Amen.
like to mention, continue a little bit what he said, but I just would like to say that this SIYUM belongs to the women. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. When Rabbi Akiva left, and he was away for 24 years, and when he came back home, his wife came to greet him, and the Talmidim don't know anything about his wife, and they see a woman coming closer to the Rebbe, and they stopped her. He said to them, leave her alone. Whatever I have, and whatever you have that I gave you belongs to her. That means that when you come to learn early in the morning, or whenever, you have to understand sometimes you have to give up something, and getting up early and whatever, and the wife doesn't mind and lets you go and wants you to learn, pushes you for that, then she has a chelek, she has a share in that learning and that SIYUM. So I just would like to make the SIYUM HASHAS, and we're going to make the SIYUM of a Gemara that really belongs to the women more than the man. And this is, as a result, we'll be able to understand the meaning of the SIYUM. It says over here, Tana de Be'eliyohu. The end of the Talmud Bavli, it said there's a medrash that says Tana de Be'eliyohu. We'll learn to the base medrash of Eliyahu. There is a difference of opinion in the Mefarshim, the commentators on the Talmud. What is Tana de Be'eliyahu? Is that a person named Eliyahu, or is it Eliyahu Hanavi? And there is a sefer, 2 volumes, that is known Tana de Be'eliyahu, that Eliyahu Hanavi taught Rav Eli, and they wrote it and we have it in print. Some say it is Eliyahu Hanavi, and he says like this: Kol hashone halachos b'chol yom muftach lo shehu ben olam haba. Anyone that learns halachos every single day, he is assured to have a chelek, a share in olam haba. Now we know that every Jew has a chelek to olam haba. It's a Mishnah. Kol Yisrael yesh lohem chelek leolam haba. So what is the meaning over here? He is assured he will have a chelek. Sure, everyone has a chelek, equal share. But sometimes you can improve it, you can chalila lose it or destroy it or whatever. A person who learns halachas every single day, how to live according to the Torah, and you study halachos every single day, the Gemara says, he is assured, says Eliyahu Hanavi, that he doesn't have to worry about olam haba. Because to get into olam haba, we have a Rambam, and we have also the Ramah in Sanhedrin that explains that you have to prove yourself that you are worthy of getting to olam haba. Sometimes people need some kind of cleansing or whatever to get into olam haba. But if you really learn halachas and you follow the halachas every single day, you don't have to worry about cleansing. You can go straight into olam haba, and there's nothing to worry about to be in there. How do we know this? Because it says, halichos olam lo. Now the word halichos means walking. And the Gemara says, don't read it halichos, read it halachas. That he means you study halachas. Are we changing the pasuk to be able to make a statement or what? Said the Mefarshim, we're changing nothing. Halichos and halachas are the same. Because if you look in Shulchan Aruch, there's a Shulchan Aruch called as Orach Chaim, the way of life, how you're going to walk. If a person follows the Shulchan Aruch, what does it tell you? How you should conduct yourself. How you should move every single day. Ben Odom Lachavero, the laws of Shabbos, the laws of Brachos, many other different halachas, but they're all in the Shulchan Aruch. That's halichos. The halachas are a way of life. How a person's supposed to live. And this is very important. Now, why do we finish with this more than anything else? What's so important to finish with this? Says the Aruch Laner, a very interesting pshat. It says like this: the less the Gemara we learned has so many halachas that do not apply. And before this we learned Seder Kochim that has to do with the temple, with the sacrifices of the temple, the way the temple was built, and what do we do in the temple? But we don't have a temple. So why are we learning it for? Says the Rambam, and this is also the Beis HaLevi in the Hakdama. Beis HaLevi is the father of Rav Chaim. So the Beis HaLevi says that a person supposed to learn Torah Lishma for the sake of studying Torah. So therefore we end with something which does not apply so much and will be easy to fulfill. However, since it is Torah and it's a mitzvah to study the Torah, so therefore we end with such a thing to tell us, Kol hashone halachos bechol yom, whoever studies halachos every day, then you are studying Torah Lishma for the sake of Torah studying, then for sure you will be assured Olam Haba. Hadran Alach Perek Tinokes. I remember whenever I learned this Perek, I really have the chill going through my body when I learned this Perek, and I'll tell you why. 2 SIYUMim ago, we had Rav Shimon Schwab Zatzal made the SIYUM, and that SIYUM was for the children who were killed by the Holocaust. It's very sad. So he said, Harar Adach Tinokes, and he spoke about those children. So really, we should always think of those great children we lost, the parents and grandparents, and we hope through the study of the Torah we can be zocher to the Mashiach. B'mehera b'yomenu amen. Now we're going to say the Hadran. Hadron Olach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli V'Hadrach Olon Raton Alach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli V'Datach Olon Lo Yisnashe Minach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli Lo Yisnashe Minan Lo Be'amad Be'amad Osi Hadron Olach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli V'Hadrach Olon Raton Alach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli V'Datach Olon Lo Yisnashe Minach Maseches Nida B'Talmud Bavli Lo Yisnashe Minan Lo Be'amad Be'amad Osi Hadron Oloch Masechet Nida Talmud Bavli V'Datach Olon Datan Oloch Masechet Talmud Bavli V'Datach Olon Lo Nisnashe Minoch Maseches Nida Talmud Bavli V'Lo Nisnashe Minon Lo Be'almo Hodein V'Lo Be'almo Deosi Yehi Rotzo Milfonecho Adonai Eloheinu V'Lo Avosenu Shetehe Toroscho Umanusenu Ba'olam Hazeh V'tei imonu l'olam haba, Chanino bar Papa, Rami bar Papa, Nachman bar Papa, Achai bar Papa, Abba Mari bar Papa, Rafram bar Papa, Rachid bar Papa, Solcha bar Papa, Adamari bar Papa, Doru bar Papa. Why do we mention all his children? The answer is because he was able to merit that every one of his children were great Talmidei Chachomim. So when we say this, we daven that our children should be also great Talmidei Chachomim. Haarev lo Adonai Eloheinu ezir toscha b'finu. Shes'amcha v'sel v'ni kolonu anachnu se'esem se'amcha v'sel kolonu yodeh shmecha v'lomde toroscha lishmo v'oivad chamim v'misvodcha kiram hili hili v'tamchuka l'manu evosh le'olam lo yishcha pikudecha kivam chi yisoni ברוך אתה אדוני, למדני חוקיך, אמן, 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 סלע ועד. עודים אנחנו לפניך עד ולפנינו, ששמת חלקם שמסמדוש, ושמכם לשבת קרונוס, שמסכים ומסכים, מסכים דברי תורה ושמים דברים תלים, הנביאים עמלים, אנחנו מקלמים שכר ואנחנו מקלמים שכר, אנשים ומרצים, אנשים חייל ומבוא, אנשים בשחס, אנשי נאמר, ואתות אלוהים. תורידם לבית שחס, אנשי דומים ומימו, לא יחצו ימי בנים תחבא, כי היא רוצה מלפניך, אדוני אלוהי, כשם שעזרתנו לסיים מסכת בתלמוד בבלי, כן תעזרנו להצחיל מסכתות וספורים אחרים ולסיימם, ללמוד וללמד, לשמור ולעשות ולקיים את כל דברי תלמוד תורתך באהבה, וזכוס כל התנועים והאמוראים, תלמידי חכמים, יעמוד לנו ולזרענו, שלתומו שהתורה הזאת מפינו ומפי זרענו, וזרע זרענו עד עולם, ויזכיים בנו, ויזכה לך ותנחוסך, שכבוד תשמע עליך, ויחזוק את צדקך, כי בירבו ימיך ויושיבו לך שמות חיים. אורכם בימינו, בשמו שבכבוד, אדוני שלנו ייתן, אדוני יבוא שמחו בשלום.
רבי.
It's a different tradition.
He's going to read the couch.
And his father is going to say the Kaddish in memory of his father-in-law, his name was Menachem Mendel then.
Amen. All Yisrael, the Alabanon, the Altamidehon, the Alkol Tamideh, Samidehon, the Alkol Mon, the Osik, the Raisa, Dibi Asra, Badain, the Dimchol, Asab, Asar, the Hay Lahon, Olchon, Shlom, Rabba, Kina, Bechista, Rachamin, Bechayin, Arichin, Nisnei, Bechei, Fokanab, Kadam, Abahon, Divishmaya, Amen. Yehei Shlom, Rabba, and Shemaya, and Daim, Olenu, Alko Yisrael, Amen.
Amen.
Shalom, Shalom, Olenu, Alko Yisrael.
We're not finished, so please, if I need your cooperation. Have you noticed that on Simchas Torah we have a Chosen Torah and we have a Chosen Bereshis? The reason we do that is as soon as we finish the Torah, we must begin Bereshis to show that we're not finished yet. We still have to review. If you look at the Talmud, there's no such a thing as Daf Aleph. It always starts in Daf Beis because we don't know what the Aleph yet. So let's review it, and that's the reason why we review. And therefore, as soon as we finish the Maseches that we learned now, we're going to start the new Masechta, which is Maseches Brochos. Maseches Brochos begins with the mitzvah of Kriyat Shema. Kriyat Shema is a mitzvah which a whole controversy between the Rambam and the Ramban and the Milchas Chinuch, the whole Indian, if it's a mitzvah to say Kriyat Shema from the Torah or with the Rabbanon, the only thing is you have to take upon yourself the unity of one God. And that's what we start the Talmud with. And we begin with saying, Me'emosoi korin shma be'arvin. When do we begin to read Shema be'arvin? It's not, doesn't say arvis. In the evening, it says arvin. What is the word arvin? Be'emes, it's a plural for erev, because there are two arvin. There is after chatzos, which is, and one that is after shkir, and that's why it's called ben arbaim, in between the arvis. So there we say like this: Misha she'akohanim nichnasim le'echol b'trumosam. From the time the kohanim enter to eat truma, that means like this: a kohen that became tomei is not allowed to eat truma. He has to go to the mikveh. He went to the mikveh and everything. He's still not allowed to eat the truma. He has to wait until the evening, because it's called the Tful Yom. The day that he goes to the mikveh doesn't make him 100% or until the evening. So Mimelo, once the evening begins, and there is, it says HaKochavim, then he'll be allowed to eat truma because the day passed. That's the time when is the mitzvah to say Kriyat Shema at night. And those who want to know the rest, you can please join the Daf Yomi.